reach,
inspire,
and transform. NASM Optima 2021 Virtual Conference.
our biggest and best Optima yet.
3 full days of learning.
More than 100 virtual sessions.
Inspiring speakers you can't miss.
Challenging workouts to master your skills.
Nutrition and lifestyle facts.
The best community network.
And for the first time ever, with free full online access.
At Optima 2021.
Find out more and register today.
You're listening to the NASM-CPT Podcast with Rick Richey, the official podcast of the National Academy of Sports Medicine.
Hey, y'all, and welcome to the NASM-CPT Podcast. My name is Rick Richey, and if you're listening to this live, please note that the Optima Conference is coming up in just a few days, and it is free, virtually free. It is virtual and it is free, so you can attend. Just be sure to check that out. I would love to have you there, and to give you a lot of great speakers, and I will be doing hosting on a couple of occasions while there, so I'd love to have you present. All right, with that said, let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. Today, I want to talk about something I think is because for a few reasons. One is pre-pandemic, I owned a recovery studio. I have since owned a company that is still a recovery company, but no longer a studio, which we lost during the pandemic. But within that, there are a lot of tools that we used. And one of the questions I get a lot, whether it's from people who know about Recover or people who don't know about the business, and they just ask me as an educator in the space, they want to know more about leg compression. And if you've seen those leg air compression sleeves, they have them for the arms, they have them for the whole body. I get questions about them from time to time. One example, probably the name in this space would be like a Normatec. So the Normatec leg compressions, there are multiple other kinds that are out there, many brands. And if you've never used them, they feel fantastic. I really like them. And I think because they feel real good, that people go, oh, it must be doing something because it feels good. Kind of like massage must be doing something because it feels nice. But there are a lot of things that don't feel nice that can help you recover. And there are some things that feel really good that may not benefit you whatsoever. So let's jump into some of the research that's out there and talk about what's going on. Well, first of all, let's talk about where this started. Those leg compression sleeves that start at your feet and they squeeze your feet and it feels so good. And then it works up the calves and then up into the knees, lower thigh, upper thigh. It's super nice. I really enjoy using these. But the question is, does it work and what does it work on? So let's talk about where they originally started. So they started initially for lymphedema. And so if you have a lymphedema, your body isn't clearing lymph and it creates swelling or edema. And that's not something that can be fixed. We don't know how. It's not a cure yet, but it's something that those boots were designed to help. So really, they were designed to help with minimizing the swelling. So what they do is they squeeze at your feet and then they go up the leg. Well, in a lymphatic drainage massage, we work distal to proximal with small compression as we move up the leg and do our strokes from distal to proximal. It helps to push some of that lymph back into those lymphatic systems and those watersheds and get that cleared out. So it helps to minimize some of the swelling. But that's not how we use it in fitness, is it? We use it because our legs feel a little sore, our legs feel tight, and we put them on, see if we can feel better. And they do feel good, but what are the effects of it? So let's go into some of the research that we found out there. And some of the research, this is an open access research article from PLOS Plus One, and it is by Haun, Haun, et al. And their goal for this was to try to figure out if this pneumatic compression, so air compression, if it will actually help with performance-related outcomes. Some of these were performance-related, and then there were some molecular assessments that were done as well. So if you got these boots on and they're squeezing your legs, does this external pneumonic compression, those boots, do they actually help? So they took some resistance-trained male participants and they randomized them, and some were in a sham and some were in the intervention group. The intervention group is the one which they provided the compression sleeves. And what they did were 3 consecutive days of heavy back squats. And they followed it by either doing the air compression sleeves, and they did that for 3 consecutive days for recovery. And then they did it again on days 5 and 6, or the sham treatment, which was nothing. So they want to measure vein puncture and flexibility and pain or pressure to pain threshold. So what they did, they took these measurements in the vastus lateralis, the big lateral muscle in the thigh, and they biopsied that tissue. Not a great experience for the participants. Not that bad, but they popped a little needle in there and it pulls tissue out. So they measure actual biopsy of the tissue, and they want to check a few things out versus the compression to the sham treatment 7 days after they did these peak isokinetic torque assessments. And here's what they've found. The peak isokinetic strength didn't change from pre to post for either group. So you didn't get stronger for either group, but the pain, the pressure to pain threshold was significantly lower on days 3 through 6 with the sham, which that means that there was greater muscle soreness, though it was largely abolished when the people who did the external pneumonic compression did it. So the people who did the sham, they were sore, more sore. People who did the compression sleeves, almost completely gone with the pain, DOMS, the delayed onset of muscle soreness. So there were also significant decreases in flexibility with sham group. However, there was no change in flexibility with the air compression group, which means they went from being back to their pre-workout flexibility within that shorter period of time. The people who were in the sham group didn't reach back to their flexibility. They were tighter from the workout. So there's a little piece of information I thought was interesting. So what we find out here is that this external pneumatic compression, those air compression sleeves, mitigated the reduction in flexibility and the pressure to pain threshold that occurred with a sham. So we also have reduced select skeletal muscle oxidative stress that are also markers when it comes to recovery from heavy resistance exercises. So was it beneficial? Well, yeah, in this study it was, but it's not in every study. There was a study that was done by Draper et al. When it comes to delayed muscle soreness in long distance runners. And so what they did, they wanted to figure out if the pneumatic compression helped with reducing C-reactive protein and DOMS. And C-reactive protein is just an inflammatory marker. So they took 10 distance runners, 5 male, 5 female, and they did 2 20-mile runs at 70% of their VO2 max. And so they were controlled, and then they took this group and they provided this compression treatment for 5 consecutive days. And those that did this treatment, they did it for 1 hour following the run every day for 5 days. The controlled runs, participants didn't receive any treatment. And then the results indicated there was no difference between the control group and the treatment group when it comes to C-reactive protein levels. And when it came to subjective pain ratings, there was no significant difference between the control and the treatments and runs. So when it came to our runners, they didn't feel a difference in this study. What am I saying? Am I saying sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't? You saying it works for resistance training, but it doesn't work for runners? I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that there's a lot of information out there, And there's some studies that support how this works, and it helps to minimize pain for some people and for some groups. And in some studies, it didn't work. Let's do one more study. This study is by Wink and Williamson, and it's a comparison of compression sleeves and air compression. So you have compression sleeves and air. And you guys have seen compression sleeves, maybe basketball players wearing them on their elbows, or the long pants that people wear at the gym or in athletics underneath their shorts. Then that might be, so that's a compression sleeve. And then there's the air compression sleeve, that pneumonic compression device. And the compression sleeves were worn continually in the study during the 5 days. And then and then what they did was they did 4 sets of 25 reps of concentric elbow flexion followed by eccentric elbow extension for 60 seconds, immediately following the muscle damage protocol. Subjects put on the compression sleeves and wore for 5 days, or they completed daily 20-minute air compression treatments for 5 days. So 20 minutes for 5 days. We have swelling, range of motion, and pain were measured every day over the course of 5 days. Subjects rested for 7 additional days, completing another muscle damage protocol and remaining treatment. So they did it again. They did the workout, they made the muscle sore, and then they did the treatments again. Muscle swelling was assessed. We looked at the upper arm circumference. It was lower in the compression group. Range of motion disturbances during the pneumatic compression were lower, and pain was lower by 39% when compared to the compression sleeve treatment. So we've got only 20 minutes a day for 5 days, and it minimized the pain. It minimized, we're talking the air compression versus the compression sleeves. The air compression minimized the pain, range of motion was better, and the pain was lowered by 39% doing the air compression 20 minutes a day for 5 days versus just wearing the compression sleeves. Well, what does that mean? We just had a protocol that said they did it for an hour for 5 days, and there was no difference in the running group. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe an hour was too long. I can't answer that question. What can I answer? I can answer when it comes to the research that, like many things, the research can be all over the place. We can find things and cherry pick things, and we can say, look, this works. And you pick one study and one abstract, and you pull that out and you go, see how it works. And then you don't look at any of the other studies that show an opposing view. So what I wanted to do here was actually go into some of the research and find some research that shows opposing views. Well, Rick, why would you do that? So now I don't know whether or not I could or should do it. Well, that's kind of the point. I like it. I use it. I think they feel nice. I feel better after having used it. That is subjective. That's how I feel about it. What's the objective information? Well, objectively, we have information that is for it. We have some information, some research that is against it. And there's a lot more research out there that we could go through. Now, a lot of the research isn't about soreness. It's not about muscle performance. It's about claudication. It's about deep vein thrombosis. It is about edema. But it's probably not why they're using that at your fitness facility if you have those tools, or at the recovery facilities if you have those tools. A lot of times they're more for athletic performance if you use them at a fitness facility. When we're at a tennis tournament, nobody was coming in because of lymphedema. People were coming in to help to mitigate some of their pain, some of their tightness, some of the swelling maybe in the legs, so maybe some swelling that went on there. And they found it beneficial. We had a lot of repeat people coming in, getting leg compression for sports performance and activity. So what does that mean for you? If you have access to it and you've never tried them, try them. They feel fantastic. You'll really like them. What does it mean for your performance? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. We do find research that goes both ways. And I think we need to do several things. We need to identify what is the ideal compression time, how many times should it be used, over what period of time, at what intensity, after what particular activity. So, do the impacts of running affect differently than the torque responses from lifting weights? Were the compressions heavier or lighter? We definitely know that the time that people were under compression for the people who didn't get any result in the running group, beneficial result in the running group, did it for an hour, but the people who got it in that second or third study we talked about did it for 20 minutes for 5 days, and they got a 39% reduction in pain. So what are you saying? You're saying you don't know. Dr. Richey, you don't know. Yep, that's right. I don't know, but we're always learning. We've got more research coming out, and this doesn't just happen for things like air compression sleeves. It happens for ways that we squat, ways that we move our body, different types of hypertrophy training, different types of exercises for stabilization, different tools and techniques, modalities, and equipment. So what do? Maya Angelou, to paraphrase, when she was talking in her book, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, she's talking about her mom and raising the children. And she said she did the best she could with what she had. And when she knew better, she did better. So we're doing the best we can with what we know. And when we know better, we'll do better. And that goes for everything across the boards. Thank you so much for listening to the NASM-CPT podcast. My name is Rick Richey. I'd love to have you attending at the Optima conference this week. If you're listening to it the week of this recording, then that note is for you. If you are not, then we'd love to have you at a future Optima, but I want to thank you for listening to the NASM-CPT podcast. If you have questions or you have particular topics that you would like for me to cover, please reach out on Instagram, where I'm most active, at dr.rickrichey, or you can email me, rick.richey, RICHEY, @nasm.org. This has been the NASM-CPT podcast.